Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Let me introduce myself. My name is Ayunda Cynthia. In this video presentation, I would like to present my research paper, and the title is Quizzes Assisted Intensive Reading in ELT Classroom EFL Secondary Students Experiences. Chapter 1, Introduction. Background of the research. Technology developed rapidly. Students need competencies in reading. Students who have good competency in reading the text would confidently get the spreading information which develop over the live text. March 2015 state that intensive reading is a reading activity in short stories where readers will find vocabulary and grammar that are studied in detail, guided by the teacher while in class. The application of intensive reading emerged as a means to enhance learning among students. Through reading, students are expected to improve their productive skills, speaking and writing, and develop literacy that enables them to become more critical thinkers when expressing opinions. There are some problems in teaching reading. There are many kinds of teaching methods produce negative effects on students' reading skills. So, many students are hard in understanding listening skills and language skills well. Firstly, while the teacher was doing a reading activity in the class, the teacher found that some students tended to show ambiguous facial expression when they read and try to understand the text. Secondly, when the students read the materials given by the teacher, some students were unable to understand what the sentence was said in the book. Then, after reading the book, the students were difficult to answer the question given by the teacher. There are so many learning applications to teach English, one of which the Quizzes applications. This media provides funny pictures that appear in the form of sentences or in the form of constructive words. Quizzes is a gaming application that can help students be creative in reading and can also enhance students' creativity with the help of tablets, pads, and smartphones. There are some similar relevant studies that had been conducted by other researchers which related to this study expected to give support for this research. The first relevant conducted by Priyanti et al. 2019 study that focused on investigating the effect of quizzes toward the 11th grade students' reading comprehension. The second one is Pradnya Dewi and Kristiani 2021 study that examined the advantages of using quizzes in improving students' reading skills. The third one in Junior et al. 2020 study that focused on improving students' reading comprehension through mole-based learning strategy using quizzes application. The fourth one is Nanda 2018 also conducted a research focus on similar issue by investigating about the use of quizzes application in improving students' reading comprehension skills. And the last one is Sari 2019 also researched this issue by deploying a classroom action research as a method. From there, the researcher gave to fill the gap in the area of reading comprehension. This present study optimizes to know students' perspective about implementation the quizzes in intensive reading. This research focuses on students' experiences and perception about the quizzes assisted intensive reading practice. Move to the research question. There are two research questions. The first one is how are students' experiences towards utilization quizzes assisted in intensive reading practice? And the second one is how is students' perception towards utilization of quizzes assisted for intensive reading? Purpose of research. The first one is to find out students' experiences during utilization of quizzes assisted for intensive reading, and to find out students' perception toward utilization of quizzes assisted for intensive reading. Significance of research. Theoretical advantages for the researcher. The result of this research is expected to develop skill and improve in learning English. For practical advantage, the result of this study, which is highlighted at Quizzes assisted intensive reading in ELT classroom, EFL students' experiences is expected to give benefits on for teachers to inform the importance of using teaching materials media that are more modern and keep up with the times. For students to inform learning ways that are interesting and different from usual so as to improve the quality of learning while in the classroom. And for researcher to inform how important it is to use teaching materials media that are more modern and keep up with the times. We are moved to chapter 2, literature review. There are some theory for the research. The first one is Cody 1997 suggests that fostering enjoyment and increasing the quantity of reading, that is, using the intensive reading in teaching, draws learners into this virtuous circle. The four learning goals for intensive reading refers to McAllister 2011. The first one is focusing on new language such as vocabulary and grammar. 2. Focusing on ideas such as themes and topics. 3. Learning new skills such as making inferences and identifying main idea. And 4. Paying attention to text features such as genre, structure, and cohesion. Zhao 2019 and Maiju and Adam 2018 find that Quizzes has a very good impact on the learning process in the classroom because the students get higher grades and increased collaboration between students and group discussion. According to Paran 2003, in Cardenas and Andres 2020, teachers can make use of intensive reading to maximize students' learning process going the three phases of the reading process: pre, while, and post-reading. Framework of thinking. According to the theory, researchers expect that teacher can involve useful questions to enhance interest and comfort during Quizzes assisted intensive reading of quiz. Chapter 3, Research Methodology. The researcher used narrative inquiry, site and participant, 8th grade of junior high school in Cikarang for the data collection technique. The researcher used open-ended interview and for instrumentation using the interview guided script. For the data analysis, the researcher used thematic analysis. There are 5 processes. The first one is familiarizing the data. The second one is identifying codes. The 3 is finding themes in the data. The 4th is finalizing themes. And 5 is reviewing each theme. For data display, interview data display is presented descriptive analysis from authentic participants' responses. And move to the chapter 4, there are findings. Discuss the effectiveness utilization quizzes based on students' perception and experiences. For these findings, there are 2 themes in this paper. The first one is students' experiences during intensive reading without implementation quizzes. This time, describe 5 students mention some materials that teacher use for intensive reading such as descriptive text, procedure text, and report text. Based on the data of students' experiences, it shows that intensive reading strategy which implied by teacher was still conventional. Students have difficulties to understand the material. It causes of lack of teacher explanation, lack of internet signal, and package. Students mentioned when they did not understand, one of them asked the teacher directly in personal or using Google to translate the material. And the second time in this term is discussed about students' experiences and responses during intensive reading with implementation quizzes. 5 students saw their response about quizzes as application that can raise them up motivation, learning with new strategy of gaming. The lack of implementation quizzes makes students feel hurry and lost the answer because of limit time. Based on Fignet 12 and 13, there are effective progress rates when learning intensive reading using quizzes. The highlight finding is about the media, picture, and song that teacher added in the quiz. From the data, students' response about utilization quizzes that they were motivated, more focused, more confident when they learn intensive reading. For the discussion, based on the result of students' experiences, learn intensive reading before quizzes implement, students told their experience that intensive reading was applied by teacher is not optimal. There are 2 points. The first point is students' experiences during intensive learning before and after quizzes implement. Based on the data interview which is represented by Fignet 4 and 5, all of students as participants said that they cannot understand the text before quizzes implement. After quizzes implement, based on Fignet 17 until 21 shows 4 from 5 students can understand the text. It shows quizzes strategy of learning can help students understand the text. Understanding the text, it means that students have vocabulary and knowledge progress. And the 2 points, students' responses about utilization of quizzes, games-based learning in intensive reading. According to the data from Fignet 15 until 21, students give positive response about utilization of quizzes in intensive reading. The implementation quizzes is attractive, fun, and challenges. Students argue the pictures and the appearance of quizzes are attractive. Teacher give the instruction are clear, which make quiz is fun. The limitation of time also makes students challenges to the quiz seriously. This is what makes effective students increase. Chapter 5, Conclusion and Recommendation. From the explanation above, the researcher can take conclusion. This study contributes to knowing how teacher enhance intensive reading is covered become a reading activity that can implement for junior with attractive strategy without less intensity of reading. Quizzes assisted is implication of this research that saw media education platform that can have intensive reading during online learning process is more effective. And the researcher having recommendation for student during learning process, student focus is needed to achieve target of learning, especially when quiz conducted in the class. It affects students' score of learning. For teacher, enhancing quizzes implementation with material consideration that can easy to understand which adapts student level of reading, improving intensive reading and strategy through quizzes with more attractive and suitable time for students. For researcher, in another research, the researcher suggests to elaborate the teacher's strategies in student implementation quizzes in intensive reading. Thank you, I think enough. I'm sorry if there are still mistakes in writing this thesis, and apologize if the submission of this thesis is still a lot of disadvantages. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.